Last year, Americans bought billions of dollars worth of tequila. Yet most people still treat it like a one-speed drink. Salt, lime, regret. But tequila actually has layers, different styles, aging methods, and production choices that change everything from aroma to texture. Some bottles are built for loud parties, others belong in a quiet glass after dinner. So today we're climbing the ladder. 7 levels of tequila, explained using real bottles you can actually buy in the US. We're starting at the bottom, the stuff that fuels college nights and questionable karaoke, and working our way toward tequila that drinks more like a luxury spirit. Let's start with level 1. Level 1, the party starter. If tequila had an entry-level lobby, this bottle would be the front desk. Jose Cuervo Especial Gold has been sitting on American shelves for decades, quietly powering margarita pitchers and late-night shots in bars that dim the lights just enough so nobody asks too many questions. It's one of the most recognizable tequila labels on the planet, and for millions of people, this is the first tequila they ever taste. That alone gives it cultural weight, even if flavor purists sometimes roll their eyes. The reason lies in what this style actually is. Cuervo Gold belongs to a category called mixto tequila, meaning it's not made entirely from blue agave sugars. Regulations allow tequila labeled simply as tequila to contain up to 49% other fermentable sugars. Producers historically use this approach to keep costs manageable and production scalable for the enormous demand coming out of the United States. The result is a spirit designed to be accessible, affordable, and widely distributed. Pour a small glass and the color immediately tells a story. The golden hue suggests barrel aging, but in reality, the shade often comes from coloring or blending techniques that give the liquid a warmer look. The aroma leans towards sweet grain and light caramel notes, with agave sitting quietly in the background instead of taking center stage. Nothing aggressive, nothing complicated, just a straightforward scent that signals this is a drink meant for mixing or shooting rather than contemplation. Take the first sip and the structure becomes clearer. The flavor arrives quickly and moves just as fast, leaving a brief flash of sweetness followed by a mild alcohol warmth. It's simple, direct, and engineered for situations where tequila isn't the star of the show. Drop it into a margarita with lime juice and orange liqueur, and suddenly it makes perfect sense. In that context, the tequila becomes a supporting actor rather than the headline performer. For years, this bottle has lived in the same places: college parties, beach bars, birthday celebrations where someone inevitably yells shots. The brand understands that role perfectly. It doesn't pretend to be a luxury sipping spirit or a craft distiller's passion project. Instead, it occupies a lane that has kept it relevant for generations. Reliable, recognizable, and always within reach. Level 1 exists because tequila culture has to start somewhere. Every enthusiast who now debates barrel aging or terroir probably began with a glass that looked a lot like this one. Think of it less as the destination and more as the gateway. Once curiosity kicks in, the ladder begins to climb. And that brings us to level 2, where tequila stops hiding behind mixers and starts letting the agave speak. Level 2, the cocktail workhorse. The jump from level 1 to level 2 is where tequila quietly grows up. At this stage, the label usually includes 2 words that change everything: 100% agave. That phrase means the spirit was fermented entirely from the sugars of the blue Weber agave plant, rather than a blend of agave and other sources. The difference might sound technical, but once you taste it, the shift becomes obvious. Olmeca Altos Plata is a perfect example of this second tier. It's still affordable enough to live behind busy bar counters, but the liquid inside carries noticeably more character than the party bottles that dominate the bottom rung. The distillery focuses on traditional methods like slow roasting agave and crushing it with a Tahona stone in part of the production process, techniques that help preserve more of the plant's natural personality. Look at the glass, and the first thing you'll notice is clarity. Plata, or blanco tequila, is typically unaged, meaning it goes straight from distillation to bottling or rests briefly in stainless steel tanks. Without barrel influence, what you're tasting is essentially the pure blueprint of the spirit. It's the raw voice of the agave before oak begins rewriting the script. Bring the glass to your nose and the aroma feels brighter than anything at level 1. Fresh agave sweetness mixes with citrus peel and a faint herbal edge that reminds some people of pepper or green vegetation after rain. The scent has a lively quality that suggests this tequila wants to be noticed rather than hidden inside a cocktail. Now take the first sip. Instead of disappearing instantly, the flavor stretches across the palate. There's sweetness at the start, followed by a spark of black pepper and a gentle vegetal note that hints at the agave fields where the plants matured for years before harvest. The texture is clean and crisp, and the finish lingers just long enough to leave a pleasant warmth. Pour a second small glass after a minute, and the flavors reveal something new. The pepper softens, the sweetness feels rounder, and suddenly you start recognizing why bartenders rely on bottles like this. In a margarita, it brings structure rather than simply contributing alcohol. In a Paloma with grapefruit soda and lime, the agave character still manages to shine through. That versatility is what defines Level 2 tequila. These bottles bridge the gap between casual drinkers and enthusiasts. They're strong enough to stand on their own, but flexible enough to anchor cocktails without overwhelming them. For bars and home drinkers alike, this level often becomes the everyday choice, the bottle that quietly earns its place on the shelf. But the ladder keeps climbing. Level 3 is where tequila begins telling a deeper story about where it came from, not just how it was distilled. And that's where things start getting truly interesting. Level 3, the terroir tequila. Somewhere between casual drinking and serious appreciation, tequila takes a fascinating turn. Level 3 is where the spirit starts behaving more like wine. Suddenly, the conversation shifts from simply, "What tequila is this?" to "Where exactly did this agave grow?" And that's the philosophy behind Tequila Ocho Plata. Unlike most mass-produced bottles that blend agave from multiple farms, Tequila Ocho treats each harvest almost like a vineyard release. The label often includes the specific field where the agave plants were grown, along with the year they were harvested. That idea, sometimes called terroir, suggests that soil, altitude, weather, and farming techniques all influence the final taste of the tequila. It's a level of detail that transforms the drink from generic spirit into agricultural storytelling. Pour a glass and the clarity looks familiar, since this is still a blanco tequila without barrel aging, but the aroma carries a sharper identity. Fresh agave leaps out first, followed by green pepper, citrus peel, and a grassy brightness that feels almost alive. It's the kind of nose that makes you pause before drinking because it already feels more expressive than anything on the previous levels. The first sip moves slowly across the palate instead of rushing past it. Sweet cooked agave leads the charge, but quickly gives way to earthy tones and a peppery finish that stays for a moment before fading. Take a second taste and the complexity becomes clearer. There's a balance between sweetness and spice that feels deliberate rather than accidental. This level attracts drinkers who enjoy noticing subtle differences. One batch may lean brighter and more citrusy, while another might show deeper herbal notes depending on where the agave grew that year. It's a reminder that tequila begins in the soil long before it ever reaches a distillery. Once people discover this level, many never look at tequila the same way again, because suddenly the drink isn't just about alcohol content or price, it's about origin. And that awareness sets the stage for the next transformation. Level 4 introduces something tequila fans often chase: the influence of wood. Level 4. The oak introduction. Level 4 is where tequila meets the barrel and begins picking up a completely new personality. Reposado, which translates roughly to rested, refers to tequila that spends time aging in oak barrels. Regulations require at least 2 months in wood, but many producers extend that period to create deeper flavor. Herradura Reposado is one of the bottles that helped define this style for American drinkers. Instead of rushing the process, the distillery ages the tequila for many months in charred American oak barrels. During that quiet time, the spirit interacts with the wood, pulling out subtle notes that simply can't exist in unaged tequila. The color immediately hints at the change. Instead of the crystal-clear appearance of a blanco, the liquid glows with a light golden tint. That shade comes naturally from the barrel, a signal that time and oak have started shaping the tequila's structure. The aroma introduces an entirely new set of sensations. Sweet agave still leads the way, but now it's joined by vanilla, toasted wood, and faint baking spices. The combination creates a warmer, rounder scent that feels softer compared to the sharper edge of a blanco tequila. Take a sip, and the difference becomes even clearer. The agave flavor still anchors the drink, yet the barrel adds smooth layers of caramel and mild spice. The finish lingers slightly longer than earlier levels, creating a more relaxed drinking experience that encourages slow sipping instead of quick shots. Reposado tequila often becomes the favorite of drinkers who want balance. It keeps the spirit's natural character intact while adding just enough oak influence to round the edges. That's why bartenders frequently use this style in premium margaritas or tequila old fashions, cocktails where both the agave and the barrel notes can shine. At this level, tequila begins stepping into the territory usually associated with aged spirits like whiskey. But the journey isn't finished yet, because Level 5 pushes the aging process even further. Level 5, the aged sipper. By the time tequila reaches Level 5, patience becomes the defining ingredient. Añejo tequila must spend at least a year aging in oak barrels, and that extended rest reshapes the spirit in dramatic ways. The once bright agave character begins blending with deeper notes drawn from the wood, creating a profile closer to classic sipping spirits. El Tesoro Añejo offers a textbook example of how this transformation unfolds. The distillery produces the tequila using traditional methods that prioritize slow cooking and careful fermentation. Then the spirit rests for years in ex-bourbon barrels, quietly absorbing flavor compounds that build complexity over time. The visual shift is unmistakable. The tequila pours into the glass with a rich amber color, closer to what you might expect from whiskey than from the clear spirits most people associate with tequila. That color reflects the long interaction between spirit and oak, where the barrel gradually releases tannins, sugars, and aromatic oils. The aroma carries a depth that earlier levels simply can't replicate. Caramel and vanilla rise first, followed by hints of toasted nuts and warm spice. But underneath those barrel notes, the agave still whispers through the glass, reminding you that this drink began as the same plant used in simpler tequila styles. Taste it slowly, and the texture feels fuller and smoother. The opening brings gentle sweetness before shifting toward oak, dried fruit, and a subtle pepper note on the finish. The experience is layered and calm, inviting the drinker to linger with the glass rather than rushing through it. Many enthusiasts consider añejo tequila the point where tequila fully earns its place beside other premium spirits. It's no longer something reserved for margaritas or celebrations. It becomes a drink you might enjoy neat after dinner while conversation stretches late into the evening. Yet even this level isn't the final step, because modern tequila makers have invented a category that blurs expectations entirely. And Level 6 is where tequila starts bending the rules. Level 6, the illusionist. By Level 6, tequila starts playing clever tricks. Cristalino tequila looks like a blanco, but drinks like something far older. That's because the spirit actually begins life as an aged tequila, usually reposado, añejo, or even extra añejo, before being filtered to remove the barrel color. The result is a crystal clear liquid that still carries many of the smooth characteristics developed during aging. Maestro Doble Diamante helped make this style famous. The tequila is created by blending several aged tequilas and then passing the mixture through a filtration process that strips away the dark hue while leaving much of the flavor behind. The bottle ends up looking light and transparent, yet the taste reveals that time and oak played a role. Lift the glass and the aroma feels softer than most blancos. Instead of the bright vegetal snap of raw agave, the nose leans toward vanilla, honey, and gentle spice. It's polished and rounded, almost like the tequila has been sanded smooth before reaching the glass. Take a sip and the experience lands somewhere between two worlds. The texture feels silky and refined, with subtle sweetness and light oak tones appearing before fading into a clean finish. It's noticeably gentler than the sharper expressions found in younger tequilas, which explains why this category has become popular in upscale bars and cocktail lounges. Cristalino tequila attracts drinkers who enjoy elegance more than intensity. The spirit keeps the clarity of a blanco while offering the softness usually associated with aged tequila. It's a modern invention that proves tequila producers are still experimenting with ways to reshape tradition. But even this clever balancing act isn't the final stop, because level 7 is where tequila slows down, settles into oak for years, and emerges as something entirely different. Level 7. The timekeeper. At the top of the ladder sits tequila that has spent years quietly maturing in oak barrels. Extra añejo tequila must age for at least 3 years, but many producers push the process much further. By the time it reaches the glass, the spirit carries the depth and complexity usually associated with long-aged whiskeys or cognacs. Tears of Llorona. Extra añejo represents this level beautifully. The tequila rests for several years in barrels that previously held spirits like scotch, sherry, and brandy. Each type of wood leaves a different fingerprint on the liquid, layering flavors slowly over time as oxygen and oak reshape the spirit. The color alone tells the story. Instead of pale gold, the tequila pours with a deep amber tone that hints at the long journey inside the barrel. Bring the glass close and the aroma unfolds gradually. Dark caramel, toasted oak, dried fruit, and a whisper of chocolate hiding beneath it all. The first sip feels surprisingly rich. The agave still exists at the core, but it now shares space with flavors of vanilla, spice, and faint nuttiness drawn from years of aging. The finish stretches long and warm, lingering in a way that invites slow appreciation rather than quick drinking. Extra añejo tequila turns the usual tequila narrative upside down. It's no longer about shots or party rituals. Instead, it becomes a contemplative spirit meant for small pours and quiet moments. Reaching this level reveals something important about tequila's journey. The same plant that fuels lively celebrations can also produce a spirit refined enough to rival the world's most respected aged liquors. And that realization is what makes climbing the tequila ladder so fascinating. That's the tequila ladder, from party-starting mixtos to extra-aged bottles that sip like liquid history. If this changed how you see tequila, hit like, subscribe, and tell me the bottle you swear by. Next time, we might tackle mezcal.